Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cal Gould. I'm here with another series of interviews with individuals that have been involved in the sport of ball hockey. This particular gentleman started many years ago in the mid 80s or early 80s, possibly, with his own team and had quite a few successes. So let's find out who we're talking with and where are you from?
Yeah, I'm Troy Shelemey and live and work in St. Albert, Alberta.
Now, what are some of your early memories of playing unorganized or street hockey or ball hockey in your youth?
It started just playing on the driveway. I was the organizer. Get home from school, called my buddies up. We'd pull out the nets, and we'd start playing on the driveway. And had a nice cedar garage door that got broken and cracked over the years, and but everybody in the neighborhood would come out. Had a great time doing that. That's sort of where it originated. We did that with all sports. As soon as we could play baseball, we were batting the ball around. As soon as we could do football, we were out there, had a basketball net up there. So everybody in the neighborhood was really involved in sports. That's what we did for fun, So.
What neighborhood was it in, and did you have people from the school that you would play with, or just people in the neighborhood, or both?
Yeah, it was in the neighborhood of Grandin in St. Albert, so an older neighborhood, and they were mostly school chums, and a couple of kids in the neighborhood, but we just enjoyed sport. So it was really that kind of thing. And then a lot of the athletes that I hung out with, well, I guess we turned into athletes, but when we were all on the school teams together or in Little League or whatever. I never played ice hockey. My mother, thought I'd lose my teeth, or something like that. Well, I ended up getting my teeth knocked out on the driveway playing ball hockey. So she didn't get her wish to, Yeah.
Okay, now what about you said organized sports? So you never played organized ice hockey per se. What other organized sports did you play before you played ball hockey?
Yeah. Basically, I was played rep baseball and played football, basketball. There's probably not a sport I haven't played. I even did some fencing back in the day. I just love competing, and I could honestly say the group of people that I hung out with, playing basketball or whatever, we always loved winning too. So we had the strong desire to compete and a strong desire to win, and it just started at an early age. I don't know. It just stuck with me. Even today in business, I enjoy running and organizing the company I'm in, and working with the people that I do and all my customers. It's very good that way.
How did you join the ball hockey organization? And what I mean by that is, did you join as a player? Did you join with friends? Did you answer a newspaper ad? Did somebody invite you out to play? How exactly did you join the ball hockey league?
So that was kind of interesting because we, I would say 5 minutes from my house, there was an old parkade behind the Grandin shopping center. And that parkade was never used. And on top, there was tennis courts that were never used. There was an area without tennis courts. So we would actually put the hockey nets on top of my car and have a buddy with his hand out one window and I'd be out the other, and we'd drive down there. Yep. And unload the nets, haul them up 3 floors, because it had to get to the top of the thing. And we were just playing ball hockey there. If the ball ever went over the fence, it was like a power play. The guy that shot it over had to run down the stairs to get it, and while he was gone, we were on the power play. So we made up some crazy rules, but that's ultimately where I met Rico Worthmann, goalie, and he'd been playing or had played in the league. I'm not sure if he was in that original league that you found out about, but he told a story about, I think, the West Stars or something like that he might have been involved with. And so we just connected with him and we found out about this league. And there was another group of guys that he knew that kind of he brought out. And the first team that I was on, I didn't run it. I was just part of the team. It was called the Roadrunners. And we did that for the first season. And that was kind of interesting too, because I was kind of involved in gathering some of the guys. We had a core of guys that would come out and play on the rooftop there. And there was this one little guy that would come out and would kick our butts. Like, he was so fast, so smart. His hand-eye coordination was incredible. And lo and behold, he actually lived on the street that I used to live on, that I grew up on. And I knew the family, but I just didn't know this player. And that player worked out was Brent Hite. So I knew of Brent, but I never really, hung out with him at all until ball hockey. And we needed one more guy on our team. And it was like the 11th hour, and I phoned his house, and his dad answered the phone, and he wasn't there. And I explained to his dad like what we were doing, how we're putting this team together, and we wanted to, get Brent involved if we could. So his dad just basically volunteered him, said, "Yeah, he's going to play for you guys." So that's how we got Brent. And when we actually went to fill out the enrollment, like the registration, I discovered he was actually, like a few months too young. So we had to kind of fudge his birthday so he could play. And it turned out, like, as you know, he's one of the best ball hockey players I've ever played with. And we actually developed quite a friendship. So I was his best man at his wedding. He was my best man at my wedding. To this day, we hang out, regularly. But probably one of the most gifted athletes I've ever played with. Not just ball hockey, any sport, that guy can do it. So that was the beginnings. And then the following year is when we started the Dynamo. Rico's dad was instrumental in that. He had a history of, I guess, coaching, and also I think he was back in Germany. He was in some soccer team or whatever, and he was quite a fit young man. And he was instrumental in sort of guiding Rico and I and the others to sort of organizing this team, and the Dynamo was born. So that was our first effort together, and I think that was Capital City ball hockey back then.
How old were you when you had that first season? And were most of the players of the same age, or was it varying ages?
I was more of the older guy, so that would be 1985. That would have put me at 23 years old. And so I would say most of the guys were 2 or 3 years younger than me, in their 20s, 19, 20, that kind of thing. And I've always organized, I had already been running a basketball team from high school once I got out of high school in 1980. So for the past 5 years, I basically had the old Skyhawks team from St. Albert High, and all the guys that had graduated, we had a team, and we were playing in the Edmonton Men's League. So organizing teams was kind of natural for me, and that's sort of how I got all the guys together. Just phone calls, getting to know guys. I'm in a sales business, so I guess I wasn't afraid to reach out and call them, and even on weekends, it was kind of interesting. We would often, particularly in the off season, we'd haul the nets up to that parkade and play up there. And sometimes, guys would be late, and before I'd leave the house, I'd be phoning their house to wake them up, or get their mother to go and wake them up and tell them to get down to the thing, because we wanted to start at 10 o'clock and we'd be up there until 2 o'clock, So it was, I had no fear in calling any of these guys. It was fun.
Let me ask you about your working with the league, CCBHA. How did you find it working with the league? Was it easy? Were there any challenges? Did you find anything difficult or easy? What did you find working with the league?
It's pretty good. They welcomed us pretty much. I think we were the only team from St. Albert. And Steve and Jeff from Maine, I think, were the main characters then, and I got to know a fellow by the name Randy. I think he ran the Coronation Rink, kind of caretaker or whatever he was there. I think he was part of the leagues. He did stats and stuff because we'd always hand in our game sheets to him so I got to know him, and again, it was really well organized. That's what I liked about it. I didn't care for all of we had to have these player cards and we had to hand them in before the game. And I remember one time I got to the game, I had forgotten them at home. I had to, basically speed home and get them and come back just to, so we could play. And that was a bit of an annoyance, but, over the years, they just improved things like that to get it to the point where, you registered your players and there was a better system to monitor who was eligible and who wasn't, that kind of thing, so.
In those first few years, what kind of successes did you have? Because in the first few years, there was only one league championship and there were multiple divisions. What division did you play in, and what were your playoff situations like at that time?
Yeah, we were in second division, to start with. And you're right about that. One league champion. So, you'd go through playoffs and then you'd end up facing like a Division I caliber team. And that was usually the end of your run. These teams were in first division were very good. And we developed the rivalries, I'm trying to think back of some of the names like the Rebels and the Hurricanes and North Stars or something like that, to name a few, the Saints, and then, it was super competitive. We had a really competitive team, and part of that was we discovered through one of the players on our team was part of the St. Albert Merchants Junior B ice hockey team. So he had access to a lot of buddies and friends, and lo and behold, I think we probably had a dozen of those players come through our Dynamo team and play for us and play in the league, and they were great competitors, very fit, and they understood winning, and it was a lot of fun with those guys.
The Dynamo, did you ever get an opportunity to play? But before you went on to other teams, did you get a chance to play in any provincials, any other types of championships?
Yep. Yeah, and I think we made it to provincials twice, and then westerns. We played in westerns once. I guess our biggest thing was when we won a bronze medal in provincials, in Calgary, and that was a big moment for the team because honestly, we were usually a first or second place team during the regular standings, but found a way to lose in the playoffs almost perennially. In fact, I think the Hurricanes beat us, in the playoffs, more than once. It was like we always seemed to end losing to them. But definitely the 1991, the provincials, that was a big win for us. And then that launched us into first division the following year. So, they had that process back then where, when the winners would have to move up, I think it was the top two teams or something like that had to move up into the next division. So, we found our way into first.
That actually brings me up to my next question about the different levels of play. So prior to 1987, as we already mentioned, there was only one league championship. And then after 1987, there became the Tier 2 championship. So you mentioned you already went to the provincials in the Tier 2. Then you moved up to Tier 1. How long was the team in Tier 1, and what kind of success did you have there?
Yeah, we were there for three years. And it was a struggle. I mean, you're playing some pretty darn good ball hockey, and a lot of talented, skilled players. West Stars, the Playboys, Bulldogs were up there. It was competitive. We never really finished much more than in Division I. I think like I don't know, third or something like that, but in the division standings. We struggled to have a 500 record, but we were tough to play against. We lost a lot of 1-goal games, but we kept trying. I mean, we wanted to win a championship, there was a core of us. It was getting smaller, but there was a core of us that had to make a decision, right, to keep going in Div 1 or make a change. And we spent 3 years in Division 1, and then we finally made a change. Ian went to one of the Div 1 teams, I think the Playboys, and started his Div 1 career there, and we went back to second division, and we played with a team called the Coyotes, with Ron Goltz was running that, and there was just a core of us, like Rico, myself, Brent, Hite, Mike Schubert, a few other guys came along, but that was the core of us. And the Coyotes was kind of a mix of players from other teams too, because there was some of the guys that we used to compete against, Pete Small and his brother, I forget his first name again, but anyway, these guys, and Russ Ruhr and Bill Perdue. So yeah, it was kind of a group of guys that were playing in Division 2 for a lot of years, played against each other, and came together very, very good. That was the team that we finally, after 3 years together, won the Division 2, Tier 2 title, and that was big. Yeah.
But yourself, how long did you continue to play yourself? And do you recall some of the teams there? Did you stay with a group of friends, or did you actually venture off into other teams?
I never really ventured off into other teams. I did what I would call retire in the year 2000. I just thought I'd done enough there, and I played for quite a few years, and I just took some time off. I thought that I was done for ball hockey, and I did that for 2 years, and then I tried a couple of games in Division 2. I didn't play many games, Division 3. That was with the Red Dogs. Again, with some guys that I knew, but they just needed a part-time player. And I discovered that I really missed Division 1 and Division 2, so I wanted to get back into that. And that's when Ian Poulsen, who again, we were good friends right from the beginning, and stayed in touch. And I followed his success in provincials, nationals, even the World Championships there. I'm not sure if they were doing Worlds. Yeah, they had done Worlds, I think, before 2003. But 2003, he formed the Rock, and he invited me to come and play. So I was 41 years old, and probably got in the best shape of my life, because I didn't want to embarrass myself, and it was a good opportunity to kind of play back in Division 1. I felt the skill level was it just Division 3, it was I just found it more risky. Like the players, there's some really loose cannons out there, whereas Division 1, we were playing ball hockey hard, and the way it was supposed to be played. And so it was great, and so many great players, like just fantastic people. So I played with the Rock. That was how I ended my career. I played with them for 03, 04, 05, 06, and it was great. We won a couple of league championships, and in the final year in 06, actually Russ Ruhr was on that team, and so he was at the end. We were both like doing our best to stay in shape the whole season. I think that last season, him and I were we found that if we played about half the games, and then we could make it through to the playoffs, and then we'd be effective, and our body would hold up because, I would come home, ice my knees, ice my ankles, that kind of thing. But it was a lot of fun, and Ian was a great leader. He really handled that team. That was 06 was our worst ever year. As far as regular season go, we were barely 500. We were like 11, 10 and 3 or whatever, and finished third. And then in the playoff round, I mean, we just walked on everybody. We didn't lose a game, and won the championship, then went on to the gold medal in the provincials. So I would say that was, the highlight and the end of my ball hockey playing days. 44 years old and played against some pretty young guys. I felt pretty good about that and just enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, I miss it to this day. And pick up a hockey stick once in a while and, shoot the ball around with the kids out on the street or whatever, but that's about it. Yeah.
All right. So my next question is a little bit more, a bit more personal. What favorite memory do you have of playing ball hockey? And I want you to give it to me in possibly two parts. One, a personal memory of maybe something that you accomplished or something that you remember clearly, and B, a team, sort of a collective memory that you might have with a team or others. What favorite memories do you have?
Good question. I mean, the thing you miss most about sport is hanging out in the dressing room and honestly, like hanging out with the guys before and after the game, getting ready to play after the game, even going upstairs. When we moved to those the soccer centers, that was a real just convenience. The rinks were well maintained. You had the little restaurant bar up top there, so you can go watch other guys play. So I think just hanging out with the teammates before and after the game was really what I enjoyed the most. I was never the best player on the team or the most gifted athlete. I think I tried as hard as I could, and that was maybe my skill, was to work hard or to try hard. But I don't know if I have a personal memory other than just hanging out with the guys. And team wise, I would say the Rock. Yeah, that was just playing with them. I learned more about ball hockey that last 4 years than I thought I knew, in the previous 15. So, because I played about 20 years, and all in all, I think I played over 500 ball hockey games. So
that's very impressive. Thank you. Did you have any family members that played the sport of ball hockey?
Not really. I mean, my cousin Rod, he played with us for a while, and Rod Grote was his name, and then kind of a funny story. This would have been, I think, 2012. Let me just see here. My son. So my son, I have a son. He's 24 years old. He was playing ball hockey in the men's league. So this would have been about 5 years ago. He's like 19, and their team needed they were short on players. So I said to him, tell your coach, you got a Division I retired player that's really good, wants to come out and play. So I went and played a game, got a penalty, got an assist. We won the game, and afterwards in the dressing room, I remember telling the guys on the team there, I had to thank everybody. I said, "You guys don't know this, but Damon's my son," and I said, "You've allowed me to play in like 5 decades by showing up to this game." And so I thanked the guys, and I said, I don't think I'll be coming back, but I enjoyed hanging out with you guys and playing a game. So yeah, I didn't, I wasn't out of shape per se, but yeah, it was fun to just get out there and run with the guys.
This next question has to do with about the growth of the sport. Like you say, you were involved for many years, all the way back from the mid '80s. What do you think has made the greatest impact on the growth of the sport of ball hockey?
I think there were some great people there that were running things. I liked what Steve Pozovic and what Jeff Romaine were doing, and when they started to build and grow out like the junior division, the kids, and that sort of created this pipeline to to the men's division. Then the women's division, I can't remember when that started up, but that was important as well. But I think the using the soccer centers, utilizing that really allowed them to grow the sport. Because when we were using the gyms, or not the gyms, the arenas, and you had to run all over the bloody city to get to them, I think logistically it was a bit of a nightmare. And having everything all in one place was, we were playing all Saturday, all Sunday, or evenings, starting at 6 o'clock through to 10 o'clock kind of thing. So it really helped to accommodate a lot of activity, and the sport just grew. Because when I started with maybe 3 divisions, if I remember, and I don't even remember when I stopped playing there, there's got to be 10 divisions or more. I can't remember. Hundreds, over 100 teams at least.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to play the sport of ball hockey?
I think it's a fantastic sport. It's going to keep you in great shape. And from watching some of the ball hockey, the kids that play it today, the one thing that I notice is it's played differently. It's a little slower paced than I think when I played. So I would encourage them to run and control the ball. This was the things that really set the good teams apart. The team that could control the ball best was typically came out on top, and also if you can run, you can play defense. So defending took fitness. You couldn't just stand around. So interestingly, I can share one story for you, and maybe actually going back to what you were saying about what was one of your best moments in ball hockey that you remember the most. Well, when I turned 50, my wife says, "Do you want to?" This was 10 years ago. "Do you want to party?" She was going to make me a party. I said, "No, I'm going to plan my own party." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And so I created this Dynamo reunion. So I started, emailing all the guys that played on the Dynamo. You remember the Ball Hockey Saturday? We used to get televised on QCTV. So I had all those videotapes. There had 4 games, and I took those tapes to a local guy in St. Albert and had him make DVDs. And we made this DVD set. It's got 4 games in it, and invited all the guys over. We sat around for hours, played some of the tapes or the DVDs, and tried to fit into our old uniforms and take some pictures. So it was a heck of a good time and great night to get all the guys back together. So kind of thankful that Capital City Ball Hockey. I think Steve was kind of instrumental in getting that, and maybe Jeff Romaine in getting that I think it was QCTV or whatever, involved in televising those games. And that was a big thing for the guys back then. That was very memorable, and So I thought I'd share that with you.
I think you could also attribute the Ball Hockey Update show to the helping grow the sport. Also, it was I think it was helpful in that regard. This question is another personal question. Is there a person, if they were here right now, that you would want to thank for getting you involved in the sport of ball hockey?
Yeah, sure. I mean, really enjoyed hanging out with Rico and his dad, Carl, and they were always full of advice, particularly Rico's dad, and we enjoyed a really, really great relationship together. So I would say I'd have to thank Rico for getting me involved in the sport, because I think he kind of led us to the Roadrunners, which got us into the league way back in '85.
We talked about this earlier about the different levels of the sport and the fact that there's now International Street and Ball Hockey Federation and World Championships that have been going on since approximately 1996. And there's different calibers or levels, as I mentioned, but there's also women's division, and there's under 17, under 15, etc., that go on. There's even a masters, which both you and I would qualify for because of our age group, not because of our skill level. So knowing that the sport of ball hockey has gone to such a has made a global impact, what would you hope to see for the future of ball hockey?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it would be nice to have access to, seeing the sports played. Unless you're going down to the ball hockey rink, I don't know where you see that stuff. And, so that's the part that I think is lacking, is maybe there's an effort to, get those things televised in some respects, and maybe they are, and I just don't know about it. I'm involved with racing now, and have been for about the last 15 years, basically since I quit ball hockey. Got involved in shifter kart racing, and yeah, we have regional finals that can get you a ticket to provincials, or not provincial, to nationals. And then if you win at nationals, you get to go to the world championships, and they're all over, and they're live streamed. They're not televised per se, but they are live streamed. And I've tuned into those over the years, from wherever I am at 4 a.m, just to see, the guy from our club racing all the guys from around the world. So yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that, if this sport could find a way to televise somehow, or to live stream.
Thank you very much. I like that perspective. But there has been live streaming to some degree. I know the Canadian Ball Hockey Championships have live streaming, and International Street Ball Hockey has been doing it. But I think it's not just the fact that there's live streaming, it's the question of how does it get out there for people to find it? How do they find the live streaming? What media attention does it get? So I think what it has to be, it just can't be just streaming. It has to be streaming through a major sporting network or major sporting channel. That will give it exposure, as opposed to just putting it on YouTube on a live broadcast. I mean, it's just not as effective that way. It has to have some sort of media impact. So now I don't have any more questions, but I'd like to ask you, is there anything you would like to share that I did not ask you questions about?
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, we kind of covered everything, and I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you and reminisce a little bit. It's fun. I still see, I see Ian a lot, and Brent a lot. Haven't been in touch with Rico for a long time. Ron Goltz, talk to him. And every once in a while, like say, Russ, sends me an email, and just like he did with the live stream, or the interview he did with you. So it's nice to keep in touch with the guys like that. So, appreciate the opportunity to kind of share my thoughts and experiences. And yeah, look forward to hearing from other players and watching some of these interviews that you're conducting.
Thank you for your time, Troy. I appreciate it. You've been very helpful, and you've shared some excellent stories with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.